Hey, I want to invite you guys, if you've been listening to this podcast and enjoying this content and are passionate about protection, you should know that we have an entire library of all of the Protector Symposiums that we've ever done, hosted at protectornation.com. You can go there and you can download those and you can watch every Protector Symposium we've had to date there online, and you can learn protection tactics from some of the most elite trainers in the world from the comfort of your own home. I think you'll be surprised about how much content we actually have there. It's very, very, very reasonably priced, and you can upgrade your protection skills. Remember, protection is not all about the hard skills. 90% of it is all about the software, the programming, the way you see and move in the world to achieve a safer pattern of life. With that having been said, go to protectornation.com, join us there, and learn from the best of the best. Now, enjoy the show.
Boom! What's going on, you guys? I'm hanging here with Dennis Price of Polaris Group International. Super stoked for this interview. Super stoked to spend some time with him, doing a lot of the Lord's work around the world. And honestly, to be honest with you guys, this is an area, a lot of the stuff that Dennis is doing is a lot of the stuff I'm starting to lean more towards in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of people in our industry will find this podcast interesting because it might speak to some different things that we can do with our skills, and different ways we can all contribute. And he's out there doing the work, leading the charge. So yeah, man, it's an honor, Dennis. How's it going, bro?
Good. Just busy slaving away,
Yeah, bro. You literally look like you've been at war, bro. Like I can see the countenance on you of like, my man's been getting in it. I'm all like, my skin's all nice. And like,
man. Yeah, it's a lot. We're in 6 different countries right now. So, it's extremely unique. I keep telling people recently when I'm trying to spread the good word and, influence others to get up and do something about it, exactly what you said. On my nonprofit side, Heroes for Humanity, that's where we really do a lot of the good work. And that's when we're all volunteers and we do it for free. And that's where we see the most mission success. So that's why I said to be super busy, man, in this industry of trying to resolve tragedies, there's no shortage of tragedies, but they don't pay,
Yeah.
War sells, man. Peace does not.
Yep. I mean, even for us, dude, like the whole EP industry is like, election year, huh? Like we're all just waiting. We're like, we're going to make so much money. Like everyone's just waiting. Like, when's the drama start? When's the drama start? Like, when are they going to push, like, we hope nothing happens, of course. But like, the reality is, that there's going to be and we're going to be here to do what we do. We bring order to chaos, I remember the last jump, man, like George Floyd, pandemic. I had clients calling me like they were calling the cops. I need four, agents downtown in my facility. I need 6 guys. No. We need to bolster up security at the house. I'm like, yes, we do. Yes, that's what we do. It was too much for me, man. I had to give work to my buddies because, we all kind of came up in the game same time. We all had PPOs. And I was like, it was gnarly. But I mean, I've been kind of also dipping in and out of these disasters, man, working with a group in Haiti, hashtag freaking cannibal gangs.
I know.
Like evacuating folks. And I've just found that it's been, I mean, I don't want to say anything crazy, but it just seems to be more rewarding, man, than a lot of this stuff that I've done in the private security industry, in the executive protection bodyguard realm of this private sector, man.
It's because like what you said at the beginning, you're doing the Lord's work, Well, one pays the bills, one pays the soul,
Yeah, let's go.
So and that's why I have my for-profit company that does security and training around the world and does government contracts. But like when there is no money coming in and there is no government contracts to go rescue people in Afghanistan, Ukraine, or any of those places, it still needs to get done. And those kids, they don't care who pays for it. They just need someone to help. So that's why I started my nonprofit of Heroes for Humanity. It's because and that we're all volunteers because it's exactly that whole thing. And then one of the pitches I always say, I'm like we do such amazing work and we're almost at or like 180 lives saved in so many different countries of physically going in and rescuing them. And people always
180 lives.
Yeah. So 77 out of Afghanistan, about 65 out of Ukraine, and then another location, about 58, and then I just started working with a few different people to do the counter children trafficking thing. And I rescued my first American girl in last April. And then a month and a half ago, 3 more, a 12-year-old girl, and then 2 14-year-old girls, all separate missions, who were being sexually trafficked. But man, like, this is what I tell people is like, people always ask like, oh, how much you pay? And I'm like, we don't pay anything. Like, I don't even get paid. They're like, but we have a great retirement plan, and that's eternal life in heaven.
Let's go. My man. I love it. I love you, bro. Yes. Yes. That's the good stuff. That's the good stuff, dude. Heck yeah, man. Well, you mentioned at the beginning of this thing, you said you have a lot more mission success on the nonprofit side than the for-profit side. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So interesting, like, until I got into the game and like really focused this honed it in and found the legalities, like on the nonprofit side, there's so much red tape on the for-profit side. So if someone hires me to go and rescue like someone or whatever, I have to have a PI. And now because I have a PI, I have a lot of red tape bounding my hands that I can and cannot do. However, if I work with local churches and just volunteer and do things out of the kindness of my heart as a good Christian, then you have, like, outside of a few legal things. And I don't want to encourage anyone to go and do something wrong, because the moment you mess up legally is the moment you commit human trafficking.
Yeah.
But no, on the for-profit side, you're doing this because you're a good Samaritan. And like back in the day, when someone took your child or you had a problem, you took it to the church, and and now, like, law enforcement, especially in this industry, they're overwhelmed and underpaid and underappreciated. So when someone's kid gets missing, they'll give it a good college boy try for about 3 to 5 days, and then their stack gets this high. So people come to, a few organizations I work with, and we just dedicate all of our whole entire time and lives until that person gets retrieved, and like I said, it's all for free, and it's just because, like, and you and I talked before, the military has trained us in elite training of millions of dollars of training to serve in war. And when America needed a warrior, we were there, and they trained us in such a great way. And we've experienced such amazing things because we are told to. Now, America needed a warrior. Now the world needs a hero, and people like us who have this training and experience and have the ability to go out and do something, like, hey man, like I said, it doesn't pay, but it has a great retirement plan. And like, and the Bible calls us to do this. I think it's James, it says it, to the religion that our Father calls us is to look after the widows and the orphans, and not to succumb to the evils of this world.
Yep.
So that's a direct mission command from God. It's telling us that's what he commands us. Yeah. We are his action arms and feet.
One of the translations said the perfect gospel is to do these two things. It literally is like, this is literally what you should be doing,
Yeah.
I love it, man. That verse jumped out at me like last week, and I was like, sweet. I was like, that's what's up. Okay.
That's awesome, man. I don't believe in coincidence, man. I don't. And you said you're trying to get in this world and help out. And man, I applaud everyone who does. I caution them to get with a well-vetted, good legal organization, so that they don't, because it gets very hairy on, in trying to do the right thing, and which could be the wrong thing if you mess it up, legally on you, to the high recidivism rate for, these kids, to, putting your families at danger, to all that. So there's a few organizations I work with and for of nonprofits who just do these amazing work.
Okay.
And like another one, like, is like people like Dave Eubanks with Free Burma Rangers. He's living out in the jungles and helping these people who are getting genocided, mass casualties all the time. And he's just doing it because he's an old Green Beret who truly believed in to free the oppressed. And now he's in, like, I don't want to claim, like, I want to say all of his countries, but he's in, like, a handful of countries doing this in war zones, because that's what he truly believes, that God has called him. And I've seen it. I worked with him in Afghanistan, and I've watched him, like, I hate to say it because it's not blasphemy, but I said it's like if I went back in time and saw the real life Moses. I've watched like Eubanks call down a thunderstorm of like prayers and just miracles. I always try to reference and say like he has a direct red line to God. I've watched this man pray hardcore and the craziest miracles happen. And dude, he is a man of God, and he's so inspirational. That's why I do my whole thing at Heroes for Many. He's one of my sister companies. I try to support him in every way I can. But not just him, like there's amazing people out there who are doing this all the time, and none of us know because we turn on Fox News, we turn on CNN, we scroll through Facebook and we just see the hatred, the bitterness and the disgust and like the ugliness in our soul, man. Yeah. And, but like God is out there and he's doing amazing things in our lives. And the closer we are to his word is the louder his voice is, man.
Man. We are like brothers, dude. I'm like, why have I not got on here with you early? I've been fighting wars anyways. But like, yes, bro. I mean, it's so good. I mean, everyone listening is like, these guys are on the same page. They hear me go on these rants the same way, man. I love it. It's the truth. It's what people need to know. Veterans out there with all these skills and all these experiences that we've had, like look inside yourself, freaking figure out how and where you can enter. Heed that information too, like you do have to do this correctly. Otherwise you're the human trafficker, right? We do still live in a fallen, broken world. Satan is roaming to see who we can devour. So don't put yourself don't make yourself vulnerable, dude. But like when God wants to get something done on this planet, he sends a man, he sends a woman. We are his body. Like maybe angels will zip line in, kick in the windows and save people somewhere. But more than likely, it's going to continue until people like us actually literally do something about it. I love this stuff.
Yeah. So my company or my nonprofit, Heroes for Many, that's what our slogan is. It says, in order for evil to prevail, good men must stand by and do nothing.
Yep. No, I love that. That's strong, man. I love that quote. And it's the truth. And it's literally, I think if there's a real epidemic, I think that's the epidemic we're dealing with in the US and in the world. I think, what you're saying is awesome. When God wants to get something done on this planet, he sends a man, he sends humans. We said, let man have dominion here. And so this is our ownership, our lordship of this planet, this time. There's a war going on between the two energies, faith or fear, good, evil, heaven, hell. The kingdom of heaven is trying to invade this planet. There's a battle going on for the planet against the world system and the kingdom of heaven. And that's what we're here to do. I don't think people realize that like Jesus Christ is Jesus, the anointed one. Christ means the anointed one. I don't think people realize that the whole entire point, I'm gonna get a little churchy on y'all for 2 seconds. Just bear with me. Let him who has ears to hear a thing real quick. But the whole point of us being down here isn't for us to be perfect, but it's for us to be walking by his spirit. He died so we could have that connection again. And we could honestly walk around like little Christs, the anointed ones, the ones with the spirit of truth inside of us, doing his will, being his hands, being his feet, showing love, standing up for righteousness. You guys act like Jesus is just your homeboy, like he's a sweet yoga teacher. I don't know if you guys saw how my man dealt with the Pharisees, how he dealt with, people asked me, I was on stage the other day, someone was like, how do you deal with like culture and all this stuff? I'm like, all you got to do to understand how to deal with culture is you got to look at the Bible and just watch how Jesus dealt with culture. There were times when he said, what Caesar's, give Caesar what is his, and give God what's God's. But there were other times when culture was like trying to ask him questions and he lit fools up. And then one of my favorite verses, and then no one asked Jesus any more questions ever again. Yeah. Anyway, and I think one of the biggest, especially in Christianity, masculinity has been so castrated and so castrated and feminized that we forget that we're supposed to stand for actual righteousness. We have an epidemic right now, which I think is the real problem, is of weak men, man. And these dudes, like women are just getting punched in the face all over the city, downtown New York. Like it's just a thing. Like to me, the quality of society is dictated by the quality of its men, and masculinity is a self-correcting endeavor. So when I hear something like that's happening, there's always going to be evil men. But like you said, when good men do nothing, these things are allowed to permeate and grow and become malignant. And now we're seeing these issues where it's like, these dudes just run around doing this. we got to step up to the plate. But
I never heard that. That's wild. And actually, it angers me that I have a few thoughts on that because it's somewhat our fault because it's a perpetuating cycle. Us as young men go and there's a really good old saying, and it says, if you're not willing to make her your wife, don't make her your a mom. No, mom. Yeah, sorry. Brain fart. Yeah. So if you're not willing to make her a wife, then don't make her a mother. And I say that because we are failing as young men to hold ourselves accountable and to actually be honorable, good quality men, and be fathers, and be present fathers. We hear it all the time, and like the bar is set so low for dads. Like, and I'm not talking about married husbands and dads. I mean, guys who have kids, with a marriage, without a marriage. People think good dads are just guys who like somewhat do anything with your kid. And I'm like, dude, our bar is so low. Yep. And then when they raise up to be, little shenanigans and like punching women in the face, it's because we're not in the house there teaching them, and we are not being good, good, wise men to our kids.
Yeah. So, that one of my favorite pastors, Ron Carpenter, talks about how men get much of their identities from their fathers.
Yeah.
And that's a whole rabbit hole, man. But I do remember, I didn't grow up with my dad because I'm Black. Our dads don't stay home. I can say that. Anyway, so I love you, Dad. I love you. But you wasn't there. Anyway, but it's really interesting. I not meet my dad, but I spend time with him even as an adult. We're very similar, creepily similar. But he's a very intense version, but I do see a lot of that, man. And so you just got to be really careful, and you got to look in the mirror as a man too, as you're growing up and you're even around these kids or not around them. But I want to get into something that is extremely powerful that you freaking sent me a video on a while back, dude. You got to tell your story, my man. You got to tell your story. How'd you get here? Who are they? Who are these people listening to? Like military, all that stuff, and then go through the journey with me, bro.
Yeah, man. It's an amazing story, and I am now comfortable telling it because I worked for Mighty Oaks for a little while, and like what was my long, dark, horrible journy. I'm able to share my testimony and influence and help many people. Now I realize that and I own it. And I have people all the time on military base come up to me, telling me that like they were struggling with the same things and they related and it helped them so much. Yeah. So if that's why I went through so much torment in my life, and as a military, as a Marine, and all through my journey, then I think it's worth it. And what man made for evil, God makes for good.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
So yeah, man. I guess I'll start the whole thing. So I was, just like most people. So I'll preface by saying, small town of 1,000 people in Western Pennsylvania. Was born and raised in the church. Went to church every Sunday in my life, and then watched September 11th happen on TV kind of as a young teenager, and then joined the military at 17, wanting to do something and serve more. I joined the Marine Corps, and like 6 months later was a turret gunner in Iraq, just living the life, and at 18 years old, like just in charge of everything, 240 gunner for the most part. Yeah. And I convinced myself, just like most of you guys and everyone in the military, that God has no place in war. And man, we get told and we get fed that, and we replicate it, just saying it so ignorantly, so that we can feel better about ourselves and do some horrible things over there, and allow our brothers to do the same.
Yeah. So in all actuality, El Shaddai is a man of war. It's in there. It's in there. We'll get to that point. Yeah. I love it.
So, man, me and my platoon experienced 6 IED blasts during my time, and it wasn't my first one. I think it was a third or fifth one. We were out in the city of Ramadi. We just came back from Fallujah. We did that route like 1,000 times before that. Yep. Same thing, and we were coming back from Fallujah to Ramadi, and we like now the city is to my left, and we get hit with an IED. Blows up a vehicle in front of me. Something shoots across over what appears to be a rocket, and then just like how it was, and that was like 17 years ago. Man, it kicked off something that turned my life into a bitter spiraling hatred of pain, misery, suffering, and just walking around in two modes, pissed off and super pissed off. Man, when I watch my friends get blown up like that, and then comms shut down and in the chaos, and we start taking fire from the city, and from within the city, we're seeing muzzle blasts, we're trying to identify the targets.
Yep.
All this chaos, and no one's repeating over comm, and then like EOD comes up in the rear, not announced, and now we think they're like, we see guys with guns and NVG, or and dude, it's like I said, it ignited a fire within me that burned so hot throughout over a decade and a half that I was not able to control. So immediately after that deployment, man, I just jumped on every single deployment, doing back deployments, went to Force Recon, went to selection, did all this other stuff, like then would pump out more deployments. Yeah. And I eventually, like while I was at war, I kept saying that same thing, man, there's no place for God in war. And then when I come back, I would try to get back in the church. I would try to go back every Sunday. And I started trying to fill this massive empty void inside my life. And I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was emptiness, and I felt like a shell. I used to tell people, if there was a song that would sum up my life, it would be "Comfortably Numb" by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
I felt like a zombie through life, man. I was either pissed off, super pissed off. I was just blah, and I needed to catch the next big high. Yeah. I needed to feel something inside me, and I filled it with all the wrong things, dude. Just like how most of us in the military did. Like I filled it with like drugs. Never did drugs in my life. Jeez Louise.
I did all kinds of drugs, bro. I remember I did the same thing, bro. I had the same type of, I'll mirror you for a second, but dude, I got back. I remember I got back, and every time I came back from Iraq, I would just get really pissed at nighttime, dude. Like I just would be sitting there, and we were in squad base because we had this supermoto gunny. God bless him, wherever he is. And I remember I would just sit late at night, and I would just get pissed. And I wasn't old enough to go and buy alcohol, so I'd have my homie buy alcohol for me, and I would just drink a fifth of vodka every single night for 1 month straight. And then my kidneys and liver and stuff would start hurting, and then I'd usually stop. But then when I got out of the Marine Corps, it kind of switched. It was like this whole feeling that I was like a Lamborghini stuck in a freaking school zone, forced to drive 20 miles per hour forever.
Yes, man.
Like, I was literally like, I'm like a T-Rex that has to be a freaking vegetarian. I was like, it's Nerf for the rest of my life. I was like, I'm gonna kill myself. I'm like, what am I gonna do? And so, dude, I was addicted to my dopamine, dude. I just wanted to go fast all the time. Landed the first freaking EP contract. I was making 6 figures at 21. And then I had this epiphany. One day I'm sitting in my living room, and I'm like, I'm out of the Marine Corps. I can do drugs. And I literally, bro, I called my boys up in LA. I was like, hey, I can finally do drugs. I was like, come over here, dude, because I just wanted, I needed that rush, man. Like life was too bland, too boring, too sucky, too, I have to be nice, too childproof scissors, too Nerf. And so, dude, I was dropping like Molly and Coke and all that, but I was like super strong, super functional. So like, I could smoke a bowl, do a bunch of drugs, wake up at 7 a.m., be at the gym, work out till 9, go to a client's house like it was nothing, bro. And I would just be like, yes, sir, no, sir, cool. All right, sweet. Nice to see you. Go home, party all night, hit the gym, go back to work. You're in your 20s. I was chasing that same thing for a long time. And then eventually, by the grace of God, I just was like, bro, you're going to mess your life up, dog. Yeah. Like God's been gracious to you, but you're either going to catch this before death blossoms, before sin blossoms into death, or God's going to have to make a massive correction on you. And I was able to tuck out and get out of that. But I did that for years, bro. That was my version of PTSD. But anyways, sorry, side note.
No, dude, everything you said was so awesome, because like the verbatim same things that what happened to me. And that's why I said drugs at first, because like people fill it with drugs, alcohol, women, and like
dopamine,
everything to chase the high, man. And I was that adrenaline junkie. I was drinking hardcore. I was picking fights. I was doing whatever I could to fill this massive void that I couldn't, and I didn't know what it was. And man, you nailed it when you said a Lamborghini in a school zone. I used to reference it, and now I know it's PTSD and like anxiety attacks and whatever. But I used to tell people, like, when I would have it, I felt like someone was holding me down underwater and drowning me. And like I couldn't breathe. And like when something would happen like this, I didn't know what it was. And I would just get very mad and just like, and then rage out.
Yep.
But yeah.
And I felt it at home. I felt it at home in intensity. So like I needed intensity. Like I needed like to be 10 pills deep in Molly freaking. Like I needed, if I didn't have that intensity, like I just was in hell. Like I was like, this sucks. This is boring. I'm pretending to be nice to you. I've killed people for less disrespect. Like I was just like I was just in this place where I was like, I just wanted the intensity all the time. And I was just addicted to my dopamine, man, from doing all those things. But so yeah, no, sorry. And if something dangerous happened, I felt like
yeah, I know, dude. The comfort and chaos, man. You nailed it, and that's why I love talking to guys like this, because you understand exactly what like. And that's why I said, if I was not in the like up in the high of life of adrenaline junkie or something to catch the next, I felt like someone was holding me down, drowning me. Like I felt like I was decaying in life, and it's so as I did. As I kept doing all these back-to-back deployments and then special operations schools, jump dive, free fall seer, sniper, special forces sniper, then like ranger, all these a plethora of them. I was like, man, this makes sense. God put me on this earth to be his war vet. Like, why else would he send me to so many deployments? I'm living. Yeah. It's working out. I'm doing very well, and I'm starting to excel in it. And I'm going to all these high elite schools and graduating towards the top of my class. I'm like, this would only make sense. Like I'm, when I'm not at war, I'm at church praying, and I'm trying to do try to go to church. I'm trying to live a good life. Then falling horribly on my face over and over, being a piece of crap. And then how I say it is like, I only stumbled upon the right path because I think I fell down every wrong path there was until I fell on the right one. That's awesome. And that's with my life with Christ. And I didn't know any of this stuff at all until I was about 15 years active duty. And my youngest child, number 4, my 4th daughter, she was born with 2 rare diseases, Beck-Wiedemann syndrome and BWS and hyperinsulinism. And the doctor, she got life flighted from where I was stationed at all the way to the Children's Hospital, Philadelphia. And she was there while I was active duty. I was active duty with 3 kids, and she was there from birth until 6 months with my wife. Wow. And the doctors eventually told me, they're like, hey, she has to live a 2-hour bubble from 2 hospitals in the United States. And that's Children's Hospital, Philadelphia, or the Children's Hospital outside of Houston. And I was like, but I'm active duty. Like, there's no bases there. And I went to my command. They had no clue either, like what to do. And so I was like, okay, well, this is what I have. I have to give it all up. This is what God had for me. And then, so I got out at 15 years, right before early retirement. And I did not adjust at all, man. Everything you were saying, dude, as I got out, I started letting the devil in my head, man. Yeah. I started letting that little voice be like, the reason why your daughter is born like this is because you dedicated your life to combat war. The reason why you're evil. And they're suffering because of you. This is on. You're dragging your family through the dirt and blood and like man. And if they would be better off without me. Yeah. And dude, I was in my garage biking, and I was working myself up. I was on the bike for my recumbent bike in my garage about 2 hours, just getting even more heated. And eventually, man, that white noise was so loud, I couldn't hear anything else in life, man. There was no cognitive thought in my head. And I called up one of my buds who was like, I was like, dude, this is not a false promise, man. Like, I think this is it. My family would be better off without me. So I missed a massive part. Whenever the doctor told me that I have to live in 2 places in the United States only, I got a bill handed to me for $1.2 million for a medical bill. Dude, how the hell does anyone pay for that for saving your daughter's life? Like, just dude, that on
tide, the tidal wave of life, and you're just like looking at this thing, you're like, how in the mother, dude?
And it was compounding, man. And as a provider, as men, and everything like that, I was dying in debt and had no logical way, or thought I had no logical way to pay it off. And I know it's like, well, eventually, like I said, now I'm biking. I'm hearing this. My family would be better off if you killed yourself right now. Your kids would get $400,000, $500,000 right now. This is all because of you. And man, this is building a couple hours. And dude, like hour 3 went by. I'm sitting there staring at my gun, still just trying to think of one good reason. And I call up my bud, was like, dude, this is not a false promise, man. I can't think of one good reason. My kids are sleeping in the room next to me, and I can't think of one good reason not to blow my brains out right now. He didn't pick up. I was like, you always hear in the Marine Corps, like, hey, if you're truly hurting, call a friend. I called him back. He was away traveling right now, so he couldn't pick up his phone. And I didn't know that. I was like, Roger, God, like that, this is it. This is, my family would be better off with me. And dude, so I sit there, and this, like I said, hour 3 staring at the gun. Now I have it in my hand, and I'm like, that's it. That's all she wrote. And as I hold it up, the last thing little like ran through my head. And it was a statistic I read like 5-6 years ago, and it was saying that if a parent commits suicide, your children are then 5 times more likely to then commit suicide.
Yeah.
And dude, that killed me, man. My kids are sleeping in the next room over. Who's gonna find their dead dad with his brain splattered against the wall? This hero who couldn't even hack it, couldn't even fake it one more day, one more time to be a better man. And my daughter is across the country in a hospital fighting to live, and her war hero, her warrior father couldn't hack it and fake it one more day.
Yeah.
And dude, that killed me. And I was like, and then another statistic ran in my head, and it says I have 3 daughters and 1 son. It said that a female raised without a father is 10 times more likely to have preteen pregnancies.
Yep.
And the next statistic ran through my head. A boy raised without a father is another, like, it's like 5 or 10 times likely to be incarcerated at a young age.
Yeah.
And dude, with all that stuff running through my head, and then putting the realization, like, who's gonna find my body? Dude, I put it down and was like, dude, I'm so messed up right now. I walked in, turned the church channel on, Cornerstone TV, and was like, dude, I need help. And and I was like, so I started, I got out, I transitioned out, I moved to like the Children's Hospital, Philadelphia, like 50 minutes out of the way. Started contracting what used to be called Blackwater as a sniper. What else do we do, man? Like,
dude,
no
you gotta hold the gun, bro.
Yeah. 15 years of special operations schools and all this other, and all these deployments. Like, dude, how am I supposed to pay 1.2 million? Well, Blackwater sounds like a pretty good gig when they're starting at 6 figures.
Yep, 100%,
so,
dude.
And then the most amazing, incredible events happened in my life. I'm over in the halls of Blackwater, or used to be called that, and I felt like I got struck by lightning. And I say that to the truest words, what I mean. I mean, every hair on my being, every fiber in my being was standing up like on pins and needles. And I heard that's when the first time I ever heard the audible voice of God. And it says, you have to save them. And I was like, what is going on? Like, what? So I go down the hall and I go over to and go into a room, and I turn on the TV, and I see Kabul, Afghanistan about to fall. And I was like, what? And I was like, what can I do? And the next voice came, anything. I was like, Roger that. Like, so I made 10 calls. I called like 10 people. Those 10 people called 10 people and everything. And then like within 24 hours, man, I had a family of a dual citizen American from Alaska who had 4 kids. It was a family of 6. And in 6 days, the Taliban said that they're going to, his oldest daughter, 14, and his second oldest, 11, were going to be in 6 days raped and sold off to the Taliban in 6 days. So I was like, okay, boom, I got a mission. I got given clearance from God. Like this thing. And then 24 hours after that, I formed a partnership with Polaris. Me and my Lieutenant Colonel Ranger regiment guy who just retired. He had a 50 acre compound in Alaska and was like, boom, let's call this thing Polaris. Let's like make let's make an agreement. We'll start an LLC just so like to cover our liabilities. And then bam, and dude, on day 5, we rescued that family and those kids from being raped and sold off to the Taliban, pulled them out of Afghanistan and into Kabul, and then on a DoD flight because he was an American citizen. And dude, all these assets started shifting because we were told that was in Kandahar, and at the time we were told that was a suicide mission. And by the grace of, and I truly mean that, and by the grace of God, we were able to do this. And then within 2 weeks, everyone shifted all priorities to us. And within 2 weeks, boom, 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 we rescued 55 people out of Afghanistan. And I got introduced and nominated and voted to form what was called Save Our Allies. Pineapple Express, all those those people. Well, Tim Kennedy, Chad Robichaux, Sarah Verardo, and Dan Stitz, and a few other people. We formed this amazing organization. Joe Roberts was there. And we formed Save Our Allies, and they were able to rescue 17,000 people in like 10 days. And then that's when me and Chad Robichaux went over 2 weeks after, when they're like, hey, there's still people trapped. What can we do? Yeah. So we went in and we snuck across and swam across Afghanistan for the Panjshir River Valley up by Tajikistan. And we just rescued, and why? Because God told us to, man. And it's amazing things you do when you have the Lord on your side.
Yeah.
I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me.
It's so good, dude. Real quick. That was amazing.
I love you, brother. That was awesome. Let's keep in touch.
So much,
how we can help.
Let's see how we can work together, and anything, please pass it around. I'm working on that 30K, trying to do that massive medical mission, man. And I can't say that. Normally I'll say locations, and it's not even country. We're dealing with 20 to 30 casualties a day. We're going for 3 weeks, safe houses, medical supply, massive medical supplies, training and everything like that. 30K, a group of 4 or 5 guys. And all we're doing is just pulling people out off, just getting obliterated, mass. Okay. And then, just God's doing amazing things. And like I said, it's a great job. It's I always say it's crazy. This world, this job field I'm in now, I'm overflowing with missions. It's like the greatest company to have, but I don't have funding. So it's most people build a company, try to get a market and try to get a product. I'm the reverse. I'm like what you said, I'm passing away mission. And it sucks because every time I do that, that's people dying. And I'm like, dude, I'm in 6 different countries. And one of the things I want to do, I can't be there at every mission. I don't want to be on every objective. Right. I need to influence guys to do the same thing. Yeah.
I love you. More to come, dude.
You, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thank you, dude. You're awesome.
Heck yeah. Take care. God is good.
God is good, man. Boom. Boom. When it comes to the technology you use to protect your home, there's nothing better than Deep Sentinel. AI-driven, human-monitored technology that will keep you and your family safe for the same price you're paying for whatever Ring doorbell system you have. Check out Deep Sentinel. It's such an honor to join forces with these guys. They should be in every single house in the world. Get real-time Overwatch for you and your loved one. And for 10% off, depending on when you're watching this, don't forget to use code Byron at checkout. Boom! Quick shout out to our sponsor, Staccato. My first pistol sponsor. I've been sponsored by a lot of companies, right, over the years. But when it comes to pistol, that's my bread and butter. Pistol is something I believe in. I'm a competitive shooter. We're shooting anywhere from, 800 rounds a month type of thing, right? So Staccato, being what I believe, is one of, if not the most complete handguns you can put in your hand. It's got every component that a handgun could have, should have. They're actually extremely dependable now that they've made some changes, and these things are straight up tack drivers. If you're looking for a pistol that will do as much of the work for you as a piece of hardware can, obviously you have to have the marksmanship and all the different things, but different guns perform at different levels. And I want to say that Staccato is one of, by far, for sure, take it from a competitive shooter, we're shooting the highest volumes of rounds constantly right now. Not used to have a background guy, but like right now, when you go shoot, you're gonna see certain brands. Staccato is one of, if not the highest performing firearm that is both CCW, duty ready, and also competitive ready. So I want to give them a shout out. If you guys are looking for a good handgun to build your skills on top of, go check out Staccato. Much love and respect. Yo, if you enjoyed that episode and you like learning things like that, I want to encourage you to go to Protector Nation, build a profile, get in the Civilian Protector Project. This is where you can learn from these guys, live Zoom calls. You can see the full modules that you just watched, and you can become part of a community. It's the first social media platform for protectors where we can get to know each other, we can network, we can learn together. We do live Zoom calls with different SMEs every single month. There's so much packed in there. I'm in there. It's an honor, it's a privilege. Looking forward to working together to make the world a safer place by helping good people to become more willing, capable, and prepared. Protector Nation, Civilian Protector Project, let's go.